Why did I ruin my mom's relationship on purpose? My sister Elle was 2 days old when the doctor said Down syndrome, and I watched my mother's face collapse like someone had punched her in the chest. The doctor was explaining developmental delays, early intervention programs, speech therapy. Mom just stared at the wall, refusing to look at either of us. Mrs. Miller, do you have any questions? The doctor asked gently. Mom turned her head toward him. How bad will it get? Not, what can we do to help her? Not, what does she need? Just how bad? I was 10 and stupid enough to think she'd adjust. We used to be the kind of family that had movie nights every Friday, where mom would make popcorn and we'd eat and snuggle up on the couch. But that version of mom died the second she heard Down syndrome. By the time Elle was 6 months old and mom went back to work, she started coming home late, stuck at the office, she'd say, but I could smell the wine on her breath. By the time Elle was 3, she'd perfected the art of being physically present but emotionally gone. She'd walk past her during breakfast without a word, step over her toys, turn up the TV when she tried to babble at her. I kept making excuses. She's scared. Give her time. Then one day I came home from school and found Elle sitting on the couch in soaked pajamas. 4 years old, just sitting there in her own urine because mom was in her bedroom and she couldn't communicate what she needed. She looked up at me, about to cry. I cleaned her up, then marched to the bedroom. Mom was reorganizing her closet. She sat in piss for God knows how long. I said, where were you? She didn't even turn around. I can't do this anymore. Can't do what? Be a mother? This isn't the life I signed up for. She slammed a shoebox onto the shelf. Everyone expects me to be this perfect, loving mother, but they don't have to live with it. The stares when people see her face, the therapy appointments. My kid isn't normal. I'm here, aren't I? That's when I lost hope she'd ever change. But I was still just a kid. What could I do? I spent the next 3 years watching it get worse, hating that I couldn't fix it. Elle had been working hard in speech therapy, and her speech was thick and slow, but she was so proud of her progress. I came home one afternoon to find her in the living room while mom made dinner. Elle walked up carefully, grabbed mom's sleeve, and said slowly, I love you, mama. Mom froze, put down the knife, and looked at her like she'd said something horrible. Don't, she said quietly. Just don't do that. Ella's smile died. But I don't want to hear it. She walked past her and locked herself in her bedroom. She stood there, tears rolling down her cheeks. I pulled her into a hug. That's when I stopped being her sister and became her person. I dropped out my senior year, got a job at the grocery store, paid for programs insurance wouldn't cover, spent hours practicing reading with her, celebrated every tiny victory. I even made sure she had birthday parties with friends who loved her. Then when Elle was 10, mom just stopped coming home. She packed her things one weekend while we were out and left her keys on the counter. I took over the rent. Elle asked once why mama left. Some people don't know how to love right, I told her, and she never brought it up again. Until last week, when my phone rang with an unknown number. It was mom. Hey sweetie, she said, like we'd talked yesterday. My boyfriend wants to meet you and Elle. He doesn't understand why we don't talk. My chest tightened. What did you tell him? That we had a falling out years ago. Different priorities, you know. Can you please just come to dinner? The audacity. This woman abandoned her disabled daughter and now wanted me to help her lie to keep her boyfriend happy. What am I supposed to say happened? I asked. Just that we grew apart. Maybe I was overwhelmed and you were independent. Normal stuff. Normal. She called abandoning Elle normal. I agreed, but I wasn't going to save her relationship. I was going to destroy it. I texted her later. Thanks for reaching out. Looking forward to meeting him. She responded with heart emojis. The woman who couldn't look at Elle for 14 years was sending hearts. The next week crawled by. The night of the dinner, I wore my best dress and brought expensive wine. Elle came with me, quiet but watching everything, playing the perfect daughters she never let us be. David was lovely. He talked about family being everything and how excited he was to finally meet us. Perfect. So, he finally asked over dinner, what really happened between you guys? Mom was relaxed now, confident I'd stick to the script. She even smiled at me. I pulled out my phone. David, want to see what really happened? I showed him photos. Ellie's first day of high school, her learning to ride a bike at 15, her first job. Do you see mom in any of these? He studied them, confused. No, I don't. That's because she wasn't there. We haven't seen her in 14 years. Elle smiled at me when she realized what I was doing. David looked at mom, whose face had gone pale. Is this true? She couldn't even deny it. David got up, looked at us, and said, you guys deserve so much better, before walking out. Mom ran after him. She came back 10 minutes later, mascara running down her face. Are you happy? You just ruined the best relationship I've ever had. I smiled. Your daughter should have been the best relationship you ever had, but you walked away the second Elle wasn't perfect. Now you know how it feels.